Hey there, are you just like me, tired of watching romance comedy anime with the same tired cliches, like a protagonist falling down the stairs on top of his love interest, protagonist getting slapped over a silly misunderstanding, an endless war of will they, won't they dynamics with love interest, or maybe a rival love interest versus childhood love interest arcs? Well, then, I invite you to watch this anime, one that is a breath of fresh air, filled with love, warmth, and meaningful connections that leave you wanting more, and all the while treading old grounds of romance with fresh perspectives while letting go of all tired tropes. I invite you to watch You and I Are Polar Opposites. Hi, this is Sai once again, and whether you're new or coming back from my previous video, I really appreciate your presence and time. And if you enjoy your time here with me, I would appreciate you liking or sharing the video and subscribing to my channel. It makes a huge difference. After that Detective Conan video, which has taken several months to put together, I feel like all of us need a palate cleanser. So this new video is for all of us to be positively introspective and appreciating romance, comedy, and our slices of life. Thank you for joining me again on another introspection video in the endless world of anime. But don't worry, today's introspection is on the shorter side. I should hope so for the sake of my editor. And it's definitely on the cuter side, I can guarantee that. I have been watching anime for a very long time now, and yet I have always struggled with rom-coms in two senses. I either drop them midway through, or even sometimes from the first few episodes, or worse yet, I continue watching them only to complete them and completely forget about them. I'm not saying that genre is especially bad, rather that the genre is pinned down by a specific way of doing things that is complete and utter focus on middle school and high school settings, with a very specific type of archetypes that always made me feel left out even when I was at the target age demographics. And you know what? Fair enough, no anime genre owes anything to me, and this is exactly why this anime is so special to me right now. It's all I think about this season. It's my own Bridgerton, my own Roman Empire. Every night I force my partner to watch and enjoy that opening song with me, and then I have to obsessively replay that same song few more times before I continue watching the episode. And then I watch it with a stupid happy grin on my face from how much I just relate to the characters and how much I love this anime. I know some might think it's silly for a grown man to gush over a slice of life rom-com, but I will be silly because it makes me happy. And this anime is another sweet reminder to me of how much I love anime as an art form. And so here I am finding myself again with the urge to talk about another anime on my channel, and I want to share with you why I have fallen in love with You and I Are Polar Opposites. As anime production grows larger in number every season and so many studios and outsourcing agencies working on seasonal anime, there has been, in my opinion, so much slop with no sense of artistic direction or background composition, compounded by the generic background visuals, stiff facial expressions, moving PNGs, misuse of CGI or software in general. So when an anime shines in visuals and artistic direction and atmosphere in a way that captures its essence, so to speak, it makes it all the more special. In You and I Are Polar Opposites, I could show you any one frame or any one scene and it would just feel right. The art style complements the show's atmosphere and the theme so well. I genuinely and sincerely find joy in just looking at the characters and even background stills. There is much harmony to the composition and I find it so aesthetically pleasing to my eyes. As for the feel and vibe of the anime, the comedy's delivery is enhanced and made also strong by the artistic direction, and they all act as one coherent and cohesive unit shot by shot. I think the audio-visual composition and the sequence of the opening song, Lose the Frames by the Japanese artist Noah, exemplifies what I'm trying to say here. I mean, just look at the scenes and the feel in that song. Just fantastic all over, to be honest. How could it not warm your heart when you watch and listen to that opening song? Really, I'm being serious. And be like me, listen to it, watch it 1,000 times, and then start the episode. And then midway through the episode, go back and repeat the opening song and then continue to the rest of the episode. I've been listening to that song almost every day now on all my music apps. The visual vibe of the anime too is immaculately cheerful and upbeat, free-spirited, young and cute. I think I finally understand those Lucky Star fans back in the day who would swear up and down to me that they found the best slice of life anime. I finally know what they mean, and though it is a different genre in a sense, I get it now. I am so sorry for having never understood you before. I get it now, I truly do. And speaking of vibe, there's something special about the anime's fashion sense. The artists seem to really enjoy working on the show. I mean, look at Miyu's wardrobe and Gyaro fashion, as mentioned in this Reddit post by user HispaniDTube. Oh, and speaking of great animation and art style, I have one thing I want to say to Detective Conan again. This is how you draw glasses and frames and eyes from a side shot. Yeah, let's do another comparison, just really quickly, I promise. This is how you do it. This is how eyes look from the side, and this is how the frames from the side look. Yeah, just wanted to mention that before moving on to the next chapter. This anime quietly walks its own pace, taking the best of its genre and reshaping others, separating itself from tropes that I have come to personally dislike or grow tired of over the years. Think of tropes like the overtly dense male protagonist, or that stupid moment where the male protagonist inevitably keeps falling on the stairs and then ends up on top of a girl and getting slapped or screamed at, or locker room shenanigans between the genders, or love triangles. In my opinion, this anime actively works against all of these tropes and instead opts to follow the character's path to give them room to grow. For example, in the earlier episodes, when the shy Natsumi Nishi was introduced, my panic sensor started tripping hard, and my anime related cortisol levels were going off because once again I thought to myself, again, this is the beginning of a love triangle and it will be a competition between Natsumi, Mio, over Tani. Genuinely, I just wanted to make it stop. Like, that was my initial reaction. But I just thought, you know what? Everything has been good so far, so I just will keep watching the next episode. And as I continued watching, I was pleasantly surprised. It was not a love triangle. It was a neatly and well done sub arc of Natsumi finding the courage to be friends with others. The emphasis was on friendship this time, and eventually having romantic interest in the other episodes with a great character, Kentaro Yamada. And then we get to see these two cute and wholesome characters overcome misunderstandings, miscommunications, and awkwardness together as they fall in love. Just wholesome all over. And genuinely, when I was writing the script, I found so many clips and pictures of them as a cute couple, especially in the last two episodes, episodes 11 and 12, which were the perfect mix of goofiness, cuteness, and love. To my editor here, please show a quick montage here. If this was 2005, we'd be doing AMVs at this moment. So please go crazy with the montage.
すみません。
The anime also separates itself from other tropes or motifs, such as delayed love confessions, wherein they are expressed towards the end of the season or an arc. In here, however, is completely different. Tani and Miyo's love confession not only takes place in the first episode, it also sets up the entire premise of the series, and then indirectly becomes the glue, the magnet, and the reason for why all of these characters are interacting more frequently together. I was genuinely shocked when in the first episode Miyo confessed her feelings and even got shocked more when Tiny had the same feelings. That scene was the sole reason that prompted me to keep watching. And listen, I want to clarify some things here. Those old tropes and motifs I mentioned, or archetypes I mentioned earlier, they exist for a reason, and they're not inherently bad, or they're not inherently bad or lazy, not at all. Nor what I am saying here is that not following these tropes is inherently good either. No, no, no. Rather, I just want to say that this anime has done two things simultaneously very well. A, it separated itself from tropes that did not complement the narrative, and B, it presented different ideas in a manner that served their purpose well. There is also so much progress in every episode, almost minute by minute, interwoven into the funny jokes, the chippy animations, and the style of the anime. I have noticed a loop or a motif, if you will, that is quite present in the anime, which is first, couples are seemingly polar opposites to one another. Their differences then act as a push and pull emotional battle or tension. We have also then miscommunications that emerge, and then miscommunications are resolved either on the spot or at the end of the episode. And then we discover finally that such polar opposition is at face value only. In fact, these couples or friends are quite similar, but their differences are in their modes of expression and behaviors, not in the result. And I find that really quite refreshing and fascinating. In other words, these differences end up causing organic growth between two or more people. And to me, this is so different from all the other rom-com anime I have seen, either from a long time ago or in the recent past. So often in anime or even other forms of media, drama, romance, and suspense are artificially created and intensified by gaps in communications that could otherwise be resolved as soon as they take place. Although that approach is still valid because, in daily life, some miscommunication instances can be just as I described, Nevertheless, other instances also can be resolved swiftly by the parties communicating, wherein they work together to come to a better understanding of one another. In You and I Are Polar Opposites, it's mostly the latter case, which is why it has such an emotional hold over me. We see, for example, in episode 9, the one about Tani's birthday, that there were instances of miscommunication between him and Mio that in other anime could have led to a whole dramatic fight and maybe a slap next to a train station or a train platform. Instead, we see both people in the relationship trying their best to overcome that misunderstanding. And I really found it adorable how Mio is asking and pushing Tani to be more proactive in the relationship, take lead in their dates and choose restaurants or dates, or places to hang out in. I'm really glad that the episode was written in this way instead of having an argument out of nowhere with dramatic tensions. What makes me happier all the more, though, is the resolution of this episode, showing how both of them are simultaneously different, yet identical to one another in the intended end result. What I mean is that Mio picks up places to hang out at on dates because she has fun with him no matter what. And he likes to go along for the ride and not choose the dates because to him, ultimately, he has fun with her no matter what. They are each other's ultimate destination. In each episode, there is a consistent and clear pattern of characters who are in love with each other, making meaningful progress to better themselves and their relationships. And hey, maybe there have been other anime like this in the past that I may have, passed on or was not aware of, but none has taken hold of me like this, for a long time, that's for sure. Though it's critical to mention that some miscommunications take place in the anime which are not immediately resolved, as we see in episodes 10 and 11 and 12, where Tani is trying his best to overcome his anxiety and shyness to kiss Mio. The way it is done in this anime is unique because the misunderstandings or miscommunications are intended to elicit growth or introspection within the characters, showing us that such situations are an opportunity for people to love one another at a deeper level. I was really happy to see that the last two episodes did not include a bombastic, huge fight between Tani and Mio, only to end up calling each other Baka and showing us a kiss, and all of that. No, it was done much more differently. Both of them are making the active effort that relationships are hard work, but they're also conscious work that you work towards. And as for the cast of the characters, I would be remiss not to highlight them and how lovable they are. In this anime in particular, these characters do not exist by themselves or through individual actions, which I think adds a special flavor. And listen, what I mean here is, it's quite hard for me to convince you how Tyra's dark, brooding, and emo personality is both funny and relatable to a painful degree, without contextualizing him further through his group dynamics with Azuma, Yamada, Tani, Watanabe, and Suzuki. It is as if they all exist because of each other and therefore are defined through dialogue and conversations that act like funny debates in different perspectives. So yeah, I really find Taira quite funny and relatable because the rest of the group contrast him as such. Likewise for Yamada, he's upbeat and he's the jokey type, non-serious type, which is beautifully contrasted through his relationship with the, quote-unquote polar opposite of his personality, Nishi. I really like the pairings of this anime. Funny enough, this idea shines strongly when it comes to Tani, because Tani is quite silent and introverted with a streak of hesitancy and shyness to him as well. So actually his lines in the anime are not that many and they are far in between. But he's consistently evolving as a character and as a human through how he is defined by the other people that he has come to love, mainly Mio and then the rest of his friends. And then we see that either in his actions or through internal monologue. I have watched many anime and many of them did I drop, and a major reason was sometimes that lack of flow in the dialogue between characters or even internal monologue, and I am really happy that this was not the case here. There is genuine fun in the conversations. You feel like you're part of these conversations. The fun punctuates the moment to moment flow between characters as they interact and joke around with each other. So, yeah, really big fan of the entire cast and is such a cheerful anime. With all of the light-hearted aspects I mentioned in the earlier chapters, there is also a lot of depth interwoven too, especially halfway through the anime, adding a much-needed layer and balance of seriousness beyond the obvious comedy. Episode 8 especially has left a lasting impact on my mood and my psyche, a mix of positivity, happiness, and another combo of emotions, of regret for things I wish I have done in the past for the sake of myself, my partner, and my friends. In my mind, this episode specifically has cemented the anime as your typical and yet not so typical rom com, with a universal appeal to people in relationships of all ages and status. In particular, the scene in the anime where Azuma and Taira have an honest conversation about her feelings, about Azuma's lack of anger or lack of appropriate reaction to the way she was mistreated by her former friend group, including her ex-boyfriends. I do not know how to describe the scene, though it is my job to do so in the right way or with the right words. The experience, but I will try. So the experience she went through is so common for anyone growing up and going to middle or high school, meeting friends, falling in love, falling out of love, breaking up with friends. But her experience was a bit darker than the description. But still, I found that scene quite heartwarming and with a unique sense of depth. First, she describes both her friends and her ex-boyfriends as numbers, like one, friend two, and then, three, four, five, and so on, conveying a false sense of detachment, or more like to convey a sense of getting over something and not letting it bother her. But, you know, it does bother her. You can hear that. You can hear her sadness in the tone of the way she speaks about the whole situation and in the punctuating silence as she speaks, if you just listen. So she's hurt and bothered by the mistreatment and subsequent ghosting of by her friends group. What really sold me on this anime was the emotion of this scene. How Tyra was burning from inside and outside, just audibly and visibly sighing in pain for her, and how much he wants her to get angry for her own sake. But he ends up being angry for her on her own behalf. And I have to say, this seemingly mundane scene by the train just positively broke me in all of the weirdly nice ways and brought me out of this loop that I myself have been living in and telling myself to continue to live in just to survive every day. I do not get to be angry. I do not have to be angry with others, in my life because, like if I get angry, that means, I am immature and I should just move on. And being angry for someone that I love and cherish is also unhealthy. I should just ask them to move on immediately. And, the only way you can process emotions is just move on and just be detached. And that if I linger on anger or disappointment or sadness for one more second, then I would be also childish. And that was it for me, that when I watched this scene, it was like a weird revelation. It's an obvious thing, but sometimes you don't notice the obvious things in your life. It's the realization that told me this anime will be my favorite rom-com of the season because it reminded me that it's okay to be angry for yourself. And it's okay to be angry for the ones that you love and cherish. That being angry is healthy sometimes. And that sometimes comforting someone you love does not have to be in the form of absorbing their anger right away or telling them you need to move on. That sometimes you have to validate their feelings and shout loud with them or even louder than them and help them to let it all out. We can love anime for so many different reasons for escapism, for pure fiction and power fantasies, for twisted horrors, for cuteness, and for suspense. But in this case, it's for romance, love, comedy, and the reminders to be good to ourselves. I also want to highlight another scene, and it's another scene also with Azuma. There was an episode, I don't remember which one exactly, but I remember it was in the later half of the anime where we see that she is so guarded in group settings and how her behavior changes as soon as she's part of a larger group instead of being one to one, and that reaction is also a trauma, kind of like a trauma response because of how she was bullied and peer pressured a few years back, and then suddenly she snaps out of that flashback, and then she's like immediately actively working against these tendencies by immersing herself with a new group of friends that she has come to love. As a teenager, I wish I had this level of introspection and analysis to better myself in the moment. And this is what I love about this anime, this particular realization and rediscovery of oneself and subsequent attempts to become a better person. These are powerful and universal traits that we should all work for and work to have in ourselves, and they are in no way exclusive to teenagers. And speaking of being a former teenager myself, I cannot help but feel a weird sense of closeness to Tyra. I think many people could relate to him too, someone who is too analytical and utilizes that analytical mindset mostly against himself. Someone who is self conscious with low self esteem, yet despite all of that, and sometimes because of all of that, he's inching his way slowly towards progress and slowly embracing friendships and discovering his love interest. I really enjoyed his sub arc throughout the season, especially that it had heavy moments interwoven with comedic relief that fit his personality and dynamic with Azuma quite well. A genuinely well done character, and I thoroughly enjoyed seeing him on my screen, especially in the last 4 to 5 episodes of the season. In Bridgerton terminology, he is my bachelor of the season. And as for our main couple of the anime, Tani and Miu, there is much to be said. And I have already said much in the earlier chapters, but I will try to be as brief as I can be in this chapter too. The relationship is so wholesome and contains the perfect mix of pulling and pushing and yearning for one another. In other words, they are different, or as the title says, polar opposites, but these differences are skin deep. The relationship has brought positive sides to each of them, challenged their worldviews, and all the while showing the viewers that growth for two people in the same relationship not only happen at different pace for each individual, but at different levels too. In episode 10, we see brewing romantic tension with some self cast doubts by both between Mio and Tani, as Mio wants Tani to be more bold when he makes romantic advances towards her, whereas Tani's development takes a different curve because to him it was a change of life perspectives, appreciating things he was previously ignorant to, and appreciating life more because she showed him a more energetic side and part to his life. The effects of the relationship have made Miyu different too, because now she has become more understanding and patient and self-aware enough to gently push for things while also giving Tani the proper room to grow as a person within and without the relationship. So now she's getting more like him, where behind the bombastic, loud, and energetic girl part of herself, she has become more introspective and appreciative of the slow moments in life. So honestly, tell me, how can you not just love this wholesome couple? This anime to me is an open letter to all people to celebrate love, joy, relationships, and all the awkward phases in life. Because only through such appreciation can one truly learn to grow, love others, and themselves. Ultimately, this anime sparks warmth and joy in me because it's about growing at your own pace and understanding that growth is almost never linear. That there are minor and major setbacks, and then there is good progress, and at other times the progress is so small, but it's never negligible. From a production value too, I really enjoyed this anime because there's so much polish and love to it. And you could tell there was a lot of love behind the scenes, behind every joke, every gag, every chippy animation movement for Mio, every romance build up. There was real passion and dedication. I am so happy to have stumbled upon this wonderful anime, and I truly hope Lap and Track Studio will continue this amazing quality of work in the newly announced second season of the anime. I genuinely am looking forward to the next season. Hey, thank you for watching this video. It was a really fun one to make, and I hope you had fun watching it. And as my channel is new and growing, I really want to say thank you to my 7 subscribers and to all those of you who engaged with me on my previous video. It means more than you think, truly. I genuinely appreciate it, so thank you. If you want to watch my previous video about Detective Conan, you can just click here and you can go watch it, and I hope you enjoy it as well. And if you have any ideas for my next anime video, please make sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to read them. I also made a Twitter or X account if you want to follow me in there. Honestly, I'm not the most talkative type, and I don't know sometimes how to write my ideas out there, but I'm trying. So hope to see you there, and definitely hope to see you on my next video very soon.